It's Wednesday, the 29th of June, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Adam Lang.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, so let's jump into it. Adam, story number 1, we know now a lot more about the Australian population than we did, say, 24 or 48 hours ago, because yesterday was Census Release Day, and in a nutshell, our population is growing, more people than ever born overseas. Millennials have caught up to the baby boomers as the biggest portion of the population, and overall we're getting less religious and more of us have a mortgage.
The Australian Bureau of Statistics says the average Australian is a woman in her 30s, in a couple, with children. She lives in a greater capital city area and has a weekly family income of $3,000 or more. And Michael, you mentioned mortgages. In the last 25 years, the number of households with a mortgage has increased from 26 to 35%, while the number of people who own their home outright has dropped from 40 to 30%. And considering the housing affordability and rental crisis at the moment, it might surprise you to learn that there are more than 1 million homes across the country that are unoccupied.
Yeah, that is pretty extraordinary. So overall, the population was 25.5 million on census night. It's more than doubled in the last 50 years. Largest generation group is a two-way tie between baby boomers and millennials, each making up 21.5% of the population. There will be plenty of stories coming out about all of this in the coming weeks and months, but it's a pretty good starting point there. All right, on to story number 2. It is a busy time in global politics. Australia is playing a pretty big role in this. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is in Madrid right now for the NATO summit this week. He's having meetings as well with the Spanish and Dutch prime ministers. Australia was invited to attend NATO, even though it's not a member, because it's a bit of a demonstration of the increased focus on China and a sign of unity in the face of the conflict in Ukraine. Speaking from Madrid yesterday afternoon, the PM said Russian aggression must stop. He was condemning a missile attack on a Ukrainian shopping mall.
That's right, Michael. Initial reports were that 18 people were killed in the attack, and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said around 1,000 people were inside the shopping mall at the time.
Adam, moving on to story number 3, Tassal, which is the Tasmanian salmon company, has rejected a $1.04 billion takeover bid from Canadian aquaculture giant Cook. It's actually the third attempt by Cook. The first 2 were confidential offers. It's got salmon farms in the US, in Canada, in Chile, and in Scotland. And this one comes after it acquired a 5.4% stake in Tassal.
Yes, Michael. Tassal's board said the latest $4.85 a share offer undervalued the company, which they said has an attractive and independent future. Shares in the salmon group closed up more than 16% yesterday, so we'll see where this story goes.
Yeah, that is quite a rise in one day. Story number 4, Adam, this is an absolutely shocking one out of the US. At least 46 people have been found dead in the back of a semi-trailer in Texas. It appears to have been a failed people smuggling attempt, with 16 survivors rushed to hospitals around the San Antonio area.
This is heartbreaking. Police were called to the scene by a worker in a building nearby who heard a cry for help. The survivors were all suffering heat-related injuries, and we hope that those people can survive.
And last story today, Adam, story number 5. There's not a lot of good news around today. Sri Lanka is in the grip of a major financial crisis, with the government there announcing a 2-week halt on fuel sales. It is the worst crisis to hit the South Asian nation since it gained independence from Britain in 1948.
That's right, Michael. Fuel reserves have nearly run out, so it's being reserved for emergency or essential services. Sri Lanka defaulted on $51 billion of foreign debt a couple of months ago and is in talk with the International Monetary Fund for a bailout. The United Nations says 4 out of 5 people in Sri Lanka have started skipping meals as they can't afford to eat. It's a major economic crisis, and it's all happening not too far from our shores in Australia.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Wednesday, the 29th of June, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't quite enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.